Good evening and welcome to Nightcrawler's Bigfoot Radio. It's March 24th, 2019, and you're here with your hosts, Lori Hood and Lauren Smith. How you doing, Lori?
I'm doing really great. I just want to say that every time I'm fixing to go on the show, I go, man, I'm so tired. I don't want to do a show tonight. And then while we're in queue, then our guest comes on, and I get to talk to him a little bit or her. And then the next thing you know, I'm pumped. I'm so pumped. And I'm
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Lauren's got the crud. Our guest has got the crud. So I'm the only one that feels wonderful, and they probably feel like shooting me. But anyway,
no. I think we're both.
Sure.
It sounds to me like he and I are both getting over the crud, and so we sound worse than we feel. So I'm just hoping, everybody cross your fingers, that Paul's voice holds out until the end of the show.
Yes. I do want to apologize that we haven't had a show in a couple of weeks. We had that outing, and the time changed, and it was just like, just trying to get back in the swing of things after going away for a few days and having such a marvelous time and meeting so many amazing people at the Mid-American Bigfoot Conference. It was just wonderful. We really, it was a great conference, great speakers, met some fantastic people, including our guest tonight. And I felt like I didn't really get to talk to them as much as I wanted to. Because I was over-socialized. I was tired of talking. I'd had no sleep. And I was just hi. It was just a weak little way. Yeah, it was. And it was
a busy time.
And it was cool to get to meet, like, Randy Savage and DW and we got to meet Lyle Blackburn and Paul Hulsey, Shelley Covington, Montana, just a bunch of, and I know I'm leaving some out. We got to meet Eric Tipton and Kane Michael, and that was like the coup de coup right there. I've just been wanting to meet those guys for so long. And Lauren, who else did we get to meet?
I mean, you've covered quite a few. Mark Henderson, I think, and
Mark Henderson.
Met a bunch of people that we've had on the show, which is it's very rewarding to get to meet our guests in person, because these people are telling you about something that is one of the most important things in their lives that has happened to them that they really, don't share a whole lot with just anybody. And so for them to share that with us, and then for us to get to meet them and, see them in person and talk to them in person. And it's, because our show, it's like sitting around a campfire. You're sitting around talking to each other and telling stories. It's a very relaxed atmosphere. And so by the time a guest goes off our show, they almost feel like family. And so getting to meet them in person, it's just like meeting an old friend. So, and then getting to meet new friends like Paul Hulsey and others who came up to us and said, Paul came up and introduced himself. And I started to introduce myself, and he's like, no, I know who you are. And I'm just like, why? Why
Oh,
do you know
wow.
that? But it was from the show. He actually listened to our show, and we had quite a few people there who listened to the show. So getting to meet people who listen to the show, and it felt really great. It was a good reminder of why we keep doing this show and why we keep doing what we do. So it was really great. The conference went really well.
We do take that break, during summer, which this year, by the way, we're not taking it until the fall. So I just thought I would let y'all know out there, we're going to run through the summer because our best research times are in the fall. It's hard to run a show and not be there. And so, plus the holidays and everything else. But, it's like she said, it was like meeting family. It was just, and I never felt, we get a lot of fan mail. A lot of people tell us they love us and stuff like that. But to have somebody look you in the face and say, we love your show, we love you and what y'all are doing and all that. And when you hear that, it just encourages you to keep going and to keep doing it. And, because there's some work involved in putting on a show. There really is. It's not just, you have to, there's just a lot. And sometimes it just doesn't feel like it's worth it, especially, when you have to wait through the people to find, you have to really try to find good, decent, grassroots researchers, boots on the ground, and that's what we're all about here. So we've got one tonight, and we're so happy to have Paul on. Lauren, do you have anything new to share or anything before I read the bio real quickly?
No, not really. I mean, I just wanted to go over the conference real quick, kind of go over if you get a chance to go to the Oklahoma Bigfoot Symposium next year, the 2020 Symposium, I think that DW has posted the dates for it already. So if you'll go to their Facebook page, you can go see when they're going to be doing it next year and who all is going to be there, hopefully. So if you are thinking about journeying to Oklahoma for a conference, I would highly recommend that one. It was a really good conference, good speakers, very well put on. I'm going to go ahead and give a shout-out to DW's wife because the food was phenomenal. They had Indian tacos. They had burgers. It was really good food. Plus, they had vendors there selling things. They had lots of Bigfooters you could walk around and meet and just kind of network and socialize. We had a camp out. So they have a night hike that they usually put on and a camp out to where you can go out and hike with the MABRC research group. So it's a really, really good event. I would highly recommend going. Also, moving on to our guest, I believe he is also putting on an event. So we will bring him on and let him talk about that right after Lori reads his bio.
Okay, I'm going to read his bio, and I'm also going to let everyone out there know that we are going to bring Paul back. I have to get with him on what date that will be, but he's going to come back for a part 2 because we're really not going to be able to completely cover everything that he is wanting to share with us tonight in one show. So here's his bio. After having a sighting while deer hunting in 2007, Paul started looking for answers. Now, this is in Alabama. For 2 years, he just did research on the Internet and read as many books as possible. Then he became a member of the MABRC, which is the America Bigfoot Research Center in Stilwell, Oklahoma. Paul also began his own research in Bankhead National Forest and all over Alabama, which we found out when we talked earlier. We've actually researched in some of the same places. In 2012, he shot an episode of Finding Bigfoot and was credited as the first to capture a Sasquatch on thermal video in the state of Alabama. Paul later became an investigator and member of the BFRO and now travels all over the country looking for answers. So tonight, Night Callers, Bigfoot Radio welcomes Paul Hulsey. Paul, how are you doing?
Yes. Well, Other than my voice I have to get kind of started, and it's like an old truck. You got to get it started up, and then it'll start running. Other than my voice being like it is, I'm doing pretty good.
How would you, I would like to start first. You had a sighting in 2007. Can you tell us about that? I'm from Franklin County, Alabama. And in Franklin County, I grew up in a little town called Russellville and graduated from there. Everybody knows me. I mean, I'm the kind of guy that doesn't like norm. You know, when I walk in a place, everybody goes, Paul. And I helped establish a 3,000-acre hunting club on a local lake where we got our drinking water from. And, I worked at, been hunting since I was 9 years old. And we hunted, deer with dogs. We hunted rabbits. We hunted, squirrels, you name it. If it crawled, walked, flew, or slithered, just about, we caught them and ate them. And on this club, like I said, I've been hunting on 25 years, knew every inch of it, thought I knew pretty much every critter, that was on it. And I'd seen some, some unusual things. I'd seen actually a bear on it one time. But this was towards the end of the season, and I needed to get one more deer for the freezer. And so there's one particular place I like to go that's real easy to harvest, because when the deer comes out onto a high tension 5 kV line, you can see for a long ways, about a 250-yard shot. So I knew this was a spot that I could go and sit and, and have a pretty successful, evening. Mm-hmm. But the only catch to it is that off to the right side of where I'm sitting is a slough that runs down, a gravel road runs down to a slough part of the lake. And the locals, us country folks, we ain't got nothing to do. We'll grab a box of 22 shells and, go target shoot. And it had a bad history of that. And where I'm sitting is on a 18-year-old pine plantation. And a loblolly pine, 18-year-old loblolly pine's about 12 inches in diameter. And they'll come in and, cut them. And they just thinned, to my left, and to my right was still pretty good. About a 10-year-old, stand of trees. And sure enough, I'm sitting there, waiting to hunt and, kill my last deer. I hear a car coming down that gravel road, because through the trees, we're talking about 400 yards, and I can hear that car popping the gravels. I already know what's going to happen. Sure as a world. They get down there and they start their pow, 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 pow. And they'd shoot 4 or 5 times. Yeah, and then one of them would go, woo, like Ric Flair. And I was like, crap. This is it. I might as well just, pack my stuff up and go home. They shoot 4 or 5 more times. And then they do the woo. And I was just, made me even that more mad. But then all of a sudden, third time they shot and did the woo, there was a response to my left in the 18-year-old pines. And I thought, what the hell was that? So I looked, into the pines, and I can see what whatever I see something, and it first comes to mind. And the first thing came to my mind is that looks like somebody with one of them stupid ghillie suits on. Yeah. He's probably in here, poaching. And so he's only 100 yards away, so I just stand up and I holler at him, hey.
and he tries to squat down next to a pine tree. And I was like, nah, that's not going to happen, buddy. So I pull my rifle up, and I'm looking at him. And, it's a long story, but, it just, Bigfoot wasn't something that I thought of. It wasn't even, I can remember as a boy going to the Roxy Theater and actually watching the Roger Patterson, Bob Gimlin footage on the big screen. And but a week later, I go back to the same spot. Try one more time, get a deer. Well, that son of a gun come back, and I thought, well, this time I'm gonna take care of him. I'm gonna whoop his butt. I just, for whatever reason, dropped my gun, jumped in my vehicle, and went flying up there to kick his ass. And that's when I saw the stride length of the tracks. And I said, wait a minute, this is something else. This ain't right. And so I just began, went home and Googled Alabama Bigfoot. And it opened up so many doors. And there was an Alabama Bigfoot forum. And I got on that Alabama Bigfoot forum and started just watching, listening to the comments. Back then, my screen name was Bama Buckster 1. And it just began, a journey that is still going today.
Wow. Wow. So that's amazing to me. That is truly amazing. We both have actually researched the same area. It's hunting lease near Sylacauga, and I've been there twice. And during the time that I was there, I was in one of the green fields. We were camped out in a green field, and it was during the day. And I just want to say that I saw something dark, like a dark shadow, and it's just young pines where we were at, and I saw something standing in the young pines. I thought it was something standing there, but I thought it's just a shadow, because this was during the day. It was probably around lunchtime. And then when I looked back over there just a few seconds later, it was completely gone. And I said, well, that wasn't a shadow, because the sun has not moved that quickly. Then it was not too long after that, we saw something moving up on it was kind of a bit of a ridge on the other side of camp. We saw something moving from tree to tree as though it was hiding. So we actually set up a camera and filmed it. Later, we weren't able to really pull anything out on that video at all. It was just not close enough, and you just really couldn't pull it out. But you actually did get some thermal video from this place.
Yeah.
Can you tell us how that came about?
Yeah, that's an interesting story, too.
Okay.
I had gotten affiliated with, and, a lot of people back then, this particular individual, didn't like it, or like him, put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember Facebook Find Bigfoot?
Facebook Find Bigfoot?
Yeah, it was a Facebook page, and Jack Barnes was his name, and it was Facebook Find Bigfoot, and he always did these analysis of videos, and he'd point out, the conical heads and all this stuff, and well, he had he was working with, several other researchers at developing a portable FLIR system. And I got involved because I'm an electrician by trade. And I got involved with some other people that were working on the project, and actually to develop the first real portable prototype that Stacy Brown Jr. used. They had 9 units, and they sent these 9 units to researchers or to people, and they could keep them, and it had a DVR and battery intact. They were Pathfinder FLIR. They're made for vehicles, and they have a wide range. That's, in my opinion, that's probably the best one to use. And but I had acquired one after I had helped them to develop them, and I had it with me. And me and Adam Bassett had been talking, and I already knew a couple other, Alex Midnight Walker and Woolly Booger. When I met y'all, and introduced yourself, I said, I already know you. I've been doing this 11 years. Yeah, I've been doing this 11 years, and
wow.
When you come into Bigfoot, you meet a lot of people. And
you do. You really do. That's true.
I've met so many people, so many good people. But anyway, so they invite me to come out to this lease. And so I drive all the way from home to about 2 hours, 3 hours. And I get there, and it's just, fixing to get dark. And it's been raining. And I pull in my truck, and get out and say hi to the guys. And we tried for probably a good hour to build a fire. And Alex Midnight Walker, he's sitting in a little chair, playing the guitar. We're just, we're just chilling out, drinking a little moonshine. And
I've researched with him, and he does play a beautiful guitar. It's so peaceful. Yes.
Yeah. He helped me in the beginning. He opened up to me, and I was very thankful of that. And then finally, I guess it's about probably, I don't know what time of night it was. It was dark. I know that. And it had been raining earlier that day, so it's making it difficult to build a fire. And Adam wanted to take us down to this to the lake. And I call it a lake. Some may call it a pond, but it's pretty big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's only like, walking distance, it's only like maybe half a mile, so, we're going to walk down there in the dark. And so they said, all right, get your, we're going to get our headlamps and flashlights. And I said, well, while y'all do that, I'm going to take this FLIR, and I'm going to set it up to watch the camp while we're gone. So I take the ammo box, I pick it up, put it on the hood of my truck, get all the components, together, hook it up to the battery, turn it on, and first I pan across the green field that we're camping in. And pan across the green field, all of a sudden you see, their vehicles and tents. And then next thing is you see Alex and Adam and Woolly Booger getting their flashlights out of the Jeep. Well, I don't know why, but for some reason, I just went ahead and panned a little further to the left. And when I looked down at the monitor, I said, well, who in the hell's that? and so so I don't say a word, because I knew if I said anything, I knew what would happen. So I didn't say a word. So I kind of set up a little bit, and I said, where's everybody at? And you see me turn the camera towards them as they lean out and go, "We're over here." And then I go back to that spot where that individual was standing, and he's done moved. He's just squatted down, and I can just barely see him. So I just kind of real nonchalantly go back to, setting everything up. Because, listen, in my mind, I've done this, except for a few years, is I'm going to set this camera up, and that individual's not going to know it. And I'm going to get all kind of good footage. That's why I didn't say a word. So set it up, and we go down the lake, and we hang out down there for a while. We come back, and they're all pretty tired, and they're talking about going to sleep. So I told them, I said, "Well, y'all go ahead and go to sleep. I'm going to go down to the lake to sit." So I went down to the lake, sat till daylight. And next that morning, that day, I came back later on that day. That's when I showed them the footage. And even Alex, he's like, "Why didn't you show it to us when you first, saw it?" I said, "Because I know what y'all would have done. Y'all been like running in the woods. Let's go get him." That's why you don't say, "Oh."
Did the individual hang around the camp? I mean, was there more footage than what you got, or was that all that you got? Was that?
That was it.
Right.
I mean,
that was the initial footage.
Now he could have stayed around that night. I don't know, because I didn't stay there, and I kind of had the sense or the feeling that, because listen, when I said, "Where's everybody at?" he immediately started moving. He was standing 50 feet away from me, behind an 8-inch poplar, and it was on a downgrade. And I had the footage. I sent it to FLIR because something just didn't look right about it. And I sent it to FLIR, and FLIR told me that particular Pathfinder IR is used on emergency response vehicles, and it can see actually into smoke. And he said the FLIRographer. In fact, FLIR is still trying to get me to this day to become a technician. But there was a pine tree between me and the individual, a sapling. Not a big sapling, but there was a pine tree between me and the individual. I could not see the pine tree because it had been raining earlier that day. And I also learned that, when whatever surface, if it's the same temperature as the air, you won't see it in the FLIR. It almost like disappears, which I've had that happen in Oklahoma. But he said there is something standing there. He said, but what you're seeing is the heat signature through the pine needles. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because, see, a lot of them asked, why wasn't it as bright or brighter as the guys at their vehicle? Well, there wasn't nothing between me and the guys getting their stuff out of their vehicles. But in between, and even when Finding Bigfoot came, and I was sitting there trying to explain this to, Matt, Cliff, and Bobo, and Renee, Cliff finally figured it out. And I said, that what you're seeing on the FLIR is the heat signature. And the pine tree was between me and that individual. So you're seeing it through the pine needles because a FLIR cannot see-through foliage.
Mm-mm.
I mean, it has to be for a standard FLIR. For you to see that heat signature, it has to be in the open. If it's in a bush, you just pick up bits and pieces. It's not going to be a total full image. And so I asked him, I said, there is something standing there. And they said, oh, yeah, there's something standing there. And, of course, when we did the recreation, with the TV, show, in which we'd already done the measurements and everything, but we determined that individual, and we used the tree it was standing behind. It was an 8-inch poplar in diameter, 8 inches across. So we was able to take that and use that as scale for measurements. And that individual standing behind that tree was 8 foot tall. Wow. And about 48 inches across shoulders.
Oh my goodness!
And that picture that you got, that's only from the waist up.
Oh my goodness!
He's standing.
That is a big boy.
He is standing on a downgrade. He's not standing on flat ground. He's standing on a downgrade.
So he has been taller than 8. You think? Maybe.
Well, Bobo, I got so tickled because, Bobo, and he's standing down there, and Cliff goes, put your hand up, Bobo. And Bobo's like, dude, I'm already standing on my toes.
I love him so much.
Because he's from California. But, hey, let me tell you what was... All right after we shot the episode, Tyler Bounds, I don't know if you know who that is.
Yes. We've had him on the show, too.
Tyler Bounds stayed behind with Bobo. And Tyler Bounds had a sighting. And I'm at the OBC, that May. We shot in the episode like during February or March. I'm at the OBC, and somebody says, hey, Paul, Tyler stayed behind Bobo and had a sighting? And I said, do what? And they said, yeah, he's on the trail back there. Here I go running down the trail. I go, Tyler, where you at? And he's a little guy. And I talked to him, and sure enough, he says he's thinks it's Bobo. Grabs his camera and, try to catch it. And all of a sudden, here's Bobo's voice. Where you going, dude? And so that was kind of confirmation for me.
Mm-hmm.
But now the next night, after I captured that first piece, the next night, Mark Green, he's the president of the club, he come down, and I tracked 2, one big one, and we saw him standing on the green field by a shooting house. And that's pretty awesome night.
Was this the same place, the deer lease at Sylacauga, or was it the other place?
Yeah. No, that's the same place in Sylacauga.
That's an excellent place. Do need to go back and visit there. Wonderful.
I wish they'd. I tried to get them to let me come back, and it's been kind of, now it's just exclusive. Only a handful of people.
Uh-huh.
And they don't know if they're even letting anybody else go in there or not.
I'm surprised they let Finding Bigfoot go in there. I'm really surprised.
Well, they're like a lot of people. They think you get on Finding Bigfoot that you're going to get paid.
Uh-huh.
They thought they were going to make some money. We all Finding Bigfoot. We got a hunting club with Bigfoot on it. We're going to make some money.
Oh,
yeah,
my
right.
goodness. Well, Paul, I want you to go and get your drink of water, and I'm going to run this conference ad, and we'll be right back with you, okay?
Okie dokie.
Hey, everybody. This is the ECBRO's host. The East Coast Bigfoot Researchers Organization is hosting the annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. That's right, the annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference is happening June 29th. Guest speakers, vendors of all sorts to cater to everybody in the family. Food and drink, book authors, film producers, raffles, and so much more. You're not going to want to miss this. And our event, June 29th, is followed by a week-long camping expedition. For more details, visit our website at virginiabigfootcon.com. You do not want to miss this event. Hope to see you there.
Okay, welcome back to Night Caller's Bigfoot Radio. Our guest tonight is Paul Hulsey from Alabama. And I call him the man with all the toys because
he is into the technology.
Toys. I was like very toy envy. I had tons of toy envy.
Yes. Yes. Want to let you know, Paul, that after the outing and getting to play with all the stuff that you brought, my Amazon wish list is overflowing.
Yes.
Yeah,
so,
I'm kind of known as the most
my
gadgeted.
husband thanks you for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of known out there as the most gadgeted Bigfooter, researcher there is, and I recently had a friend of mine that made me he took a remote control car, took the servo out of it, and actually built me a platform, and that platform has a magnetic base. And I can put that on the hood of my vehicle or anywhere, and actually put a camera inside of a weatherproof case and operate it 360 degrees from 50 yards, 60 yards away.
Wow. Wow, that is... So we didn't get to see that. Did you have that over there?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, God.
Oh,
well, when I go to do a conference, or either if I go to do research with or other research groups, which that's what I began doing. I mean, I got enough here, where I'm at. I've got other thermal footage. Cliff Brockman asked me that last time he saw me. He was like, "You got any more thermal footage you want to share?" I said, "No." And he's like, "Oh, come on." But I started out with just regular audio recorders. I mean, I've even got a 36-inch parabolic dish. And then being a gadget guy, I'm a hacker. I take, the portable DVD players that you can put in vehicles. I'll take those and hack the screen so I can use it to plug in my camera, and that way I'm not sitting there staring at a little bit tiny screen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart, actually.
See, I'm
And
over
then
here just drooling over the 36-inch parabolic dish.
Oh yeah, I can hear
goodness,
it
what
apart.
I could do with that. Oh, my goodness. Where did you get that? Did you make it yourself, or did you make it yourself,
actually,
or did you?
No, I made it. Like I said, I'm an electrician by trade, and I do a lot of remodeling, commercial remodeling. And we were remodeling a mall, and they've got these suspended lights with these, half-rounded globes. And I'm looking up at them, and I'm thinking, damn, that'd make a nice parabolic dish.
Oh,
so,
it sure would.
So I took And I actually got to use it. I went out with Bigfoot Outlaws, Coonbo, and I told them, I said, I brought my parabolic dish. And, of course, you have to hold it with two hands. And so Coonbo said, oh, you can hear a lot of that? I said, I can hear a tick fart from 100 yards. And but it was so sensitive that it was picking up a lot of background noise from people shuffling their feet and whispering. And I'm sitting there going, man, just everybody be quiet, you know. And and then of course I made I've got all kind of night vision, thermal and heat detectors, so that I can tell if it's an animate or inanimate object. I mean, there's too much going on out there today where people are just taking anything and everything and calling it Bigfoot. And I don't do that. I have a pretty good checkoff list, you know, before I finally say this is possibly a Sasquatch.
So what's one of the things that you check off on your list?
Well, a lot of groups or organizations, and like I said, I get invited to outings because, well, number one, they know that I'm going to bring all kind of gadgets. And I'm going to make it,
the boys
I'm gonna
the
make
toys,
it,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm going to make it fun. But because that's really what attracts their attention is if they hear laughter and music, and then they're going to come. They're just going to come check it out. But I got a check-off list, and usually whenever I start talking to somebody, I start on that list. And the first thing I'm going to want to know is, you know, what made them start their group or their organization. Did somebody have an encounter, a sighting? You know, are they just doing this because they think it's interesting? Or are they doing this because, you know, hey, they might can get on a TV show? Believe it or not, I've had people call me out on reports. You know, I'm an investigator with the BFRO, and the only reason why they did was because they just wanted to see what it was all about. You know, they want to see it beat on trees and hollered in the woods, and then of course I look at also the topography. You know, to see if this area of land or where the sighting occurred, you know, what's so special about it that these things would be there? You know, is it the food source? Is it the water source? I mean, there's got to be a reason why they are in that particular spot. And, you know, and then after that, you know, I don't go in the woods and you know, look at every tree and go, oh my gosh, it's a boat over a tree. Bigfoot done that. If Bigfoot spent all his time boat over trees, where you wouldn't have no problem with seeing them.
That's true.
And
what about audio?
So,
what do you choose about audio? I mean, you obviously know the vocals of all the local animals and things like that. That would be one of the things you would do. But how do you know it's something interesting for you? I know what I do, but I'm curious about what do you do?
Well, I've been hunting all my life, and one of my favorite pastimes was coyote hunting. And I can't tell you how many of them I killed, probably a couple hundred, 200 or 300 predator calls. You know, that's one thing. If I want to find out if there's a predator in that area, all I got to do is do animal in distress call.
Like a wounded
and when
rabbit.
I do that,
yeah,
a rabbit, woodpecker, squirrel, it don't matter. Anything in distress, it's fawns in distress. If it's in June here in the state of Alabama, then the white-tailed deer are dropping their fawns. And so hunting pressure increases on predators. So I can take a fawn bleat and blow it like it's being beat to death, and I'll call every predator within, probably 5 miles. And so the one thing I learned, though, from hunting coyotes was what is a coyote call. And unfortunately, I hear a lot of people that, they say, this is a Bigfoot. And when I listen to it, I go, no, it's not. It's a coyote.
Mm-hmm.
And one call that a lot of people just don't know that a coyote does, a male, especially a young male, is he'll do what's called a challenge call. You can look it up. And the challenge call is a really long, loud call and he's challenging the alpha male for his.
Is it kind of like what they call the Siren Call? It sounds like a long siren kind of sound.
Well, they can make a wide range of octaves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not necessarily, a bark or a yip, 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 yip. No, they can,
mm-hmm.
It's amazing at the range of octaves that they can reach. Even a fox will do a scream. And
mm-hmm.
especially if you come into its territory, that is an important thing, is to learn the wildlife. But the only problem with that is you're not going to learn it through a book. You're going to have to get out in the woods, and you got to look for tracks. To this very day, they say there's, no big such thing as a big black cat. Well, my neighbor that lives 100 yards from me has got a picture of a big black cat in his yard.
Mm-hmm.
When I told them that they had, bear, it's just like I was OBC, the Ohio Bigfoot Conference, Salt Fork State Park. I go up to park ranger and I said, hey, y'all know y'all got bears? Oh, no, we don't got no bears in Ohio. I showed him a picture of a footprint. He looks down at it. He says, that's a bear track. I said, yeah. So that's on your public beach, dude. And so, but, a lot of...
It's like they say there are no wolves here in East Texas, but I've seen them.
Oh, yes.
And
yeah.
So there
you got
definitely
grays.
are wolves here. Yeah.
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 Grays. And have you ever heard a gray call?
I probably have, but I wasn't sure whether it was a coyote or a gray. What is the difference? I'm with, we're in Oklahoma, Hanobi, Oklahoma. And there's a pack of coyotes that start, kicking up. And then all of a sudden you hear this a little bit deeper, but almost like a house kind of dog sort of howl mm-hmm.
that comes out. And when that howl comes out, it shuts everything down. And
okay.
a couple of the natives, looked at me and they said, that's wolf. And I said, oh, I know it. I've heard them.
Isn't that amazing? That's amazing to me because I am still learning here. You have just taught me something I did not know. I did not know that. I've heard that. What you're speaking about right now. How interesting. Go ahead. I apologize for interrupting.
I captured that on audio because one of my rules is always be recorded. When I step out of that vehicle, there's an audio recorder. Even when I got out,
Absolutely.
at the outing, I turned on my recorder and put it on the roof of the truck.
Yeah.
And, it captured us, sitting around the fire and laughing and all that kind of stuff. Some people come around walking past the truck, but did you know we had wood knocks and we had a couple of whistles?
Yeah. I believe that because the night before the storm, everyone was at the campfire. I had a recorder going back at the end of the road there past our tent. I had it just kind of sitting out in the woods. Well, you could still hear everybody at the campground, but what we didn't know at the time was that one had come up. And I knew it was one because, number one, the way it ran up, and I don't know of anything that sounds like a person but could move that quickly through that terrain. And then, you know how they'll shuffle around, when someone would, like Debbie or Larry would go and get in their car or something like that, you could hear them kind of shuffle around, but they didn't leave. They would just kind of shuffle out of sight, and then they would, when they went back to the campfire, you could hear them over at the campfire talking. Well, then they would move again, and I just knew by the movement that we had one. And then on top of that, there were several people that said that had gone back there to relieve themselves, said it sure is creepy back there. And I think it's so funny because they were no telling how far away or exactly, with a bionic ear, it's directional. A lot of times you can't really tell exactly where it's coming from. It's not that directional. And so I knew it was back there somewhere, but I don't know if the people that went back there went back far enough or anything else. But yes. We were thinking we didn't get much action at all, but there were critters there that night. I'm sure of it.
That was probably the one that the locals call short bus.
Yeah.
Did you hear them talk about short bus?
No, I didn't, but this sounded like a juvenile because the
stride
wasn't really long.
They say that he looks in the face, that he kind of looks like he has Down syndrome, and that he's just not all there. And so the locals call him short bus. And I was down there on Lee's Creek, which is not far from where we were, and one year, and he actually comes walking past my tent in the middle of the night, and he's actually mimicking. He's saying DW's wife's name is Bobby, and he's walking past my tent. I'm inside my tent. I got a bear mace in one hand and a Bowie knife in the other. And I'm thinking if he stares through my tent, I'm going to spray him in the eyes and then stick him. And but he's walking.
You are definitely an Alabama boy.
But he was going, Bobby, 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 Bobby. And it creeped me out.
Yeah. Did he have short steps? Like kind of like, because what I heard was moving very quickly, but it sounded like the stride was not. Is he tall? Has he ever been seen, or is he a shorter individual?
He's been seen. He's been seen in broad daylight. I mean, he's been seen by several.
He's tall. He's tall. He's not short, right?
I think he's right around maybe 7 foot. 6.5, 7 foot.
What about quadrupedal? Do they move quadrupedally in that area?
Oh, yeah.
That may have been what I was hearing. Then
they'll drop down on all fours in a second and take off like a rocket.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it.
Because whatever it was not a deer. It was not a dog. It was definitely something with a foot. But it was moving very quickly, much more quickly than anybody else that would be coming through those woods in the dark. It was like, it was just, you could hear it approaching. And I was like, wow, that is a booger. I said, that's a booger, no doubt. You know, I was, you know, I never heard anything else. Occasionally I thought I heard a kind of a grunt or a huff or, you know, an exhalation or something possibly, but I don't think it was that close to the bionic ear. So,
yeah.
How interesting. Short bus. I did hear that said, but I didn't know if they were talking about a person, which I did want to get into that because I do know some people that have been called short bus. So, oh, how interesting. Okay, we have 4 minutes left. Do you want to wrap up your story, and we'll have you done a lot of research down there in Stilwell, Oklahoma?
Yeah, I've done research in Stilwell and Hanobi. I love Hanobi. It's spooky. It is really spooky. I've been in Kentucky.
I want to research in Hanobi. We're going in October. Are you going to be there?
I'll be doing a Bigfoot conference here in Alabama the first weekend in October. And then we're going to do another one on the last, towards the end of October, down at Orange Beach, Florida, or Alabama.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm just going to have to get with you to find out where to go. I just don't really know where to go there. And, yeah, sure enough.
Yeah, there's good places down there. Brown Springs. I mean, I've been all over the East Coast. I just haven't been to the Pacific Northwest yet, and that's my next goal is to hit that up in that area. Right here where I'm at in Alabama, Bankhead National Forest, we got 91,000 acres, and they're in here. I pretty much stand firm on the belief that if it's a preserve or a national park or a management area, it's been set aside because these things are there, and they just really don't know what to do with them.
You know, I agree with you there, but I have to suggest something here. Because that is kind of known, do you think these areas can be over-researched?
No.
Okay. Because I know there's a lot of people, because of Finding Bigfoot, that are out there hitting the woods, and it could just be certain areas that have been compromised. They may not be that large area and all, but why I wonder this is because several people have been going to these national parks, and they're not hearing any vocals, they're not hearing any wood knocks, they're not finding anything that's recently been done, you know, and they're wondering, well, where are the Bigfoot? They're supposed to be in these national parks.
Well, if they will take a recorder and put it out and then leave, just leave, and then come back a week later and get it. Just because they're not making noise while you're there doesn't mean they're not there.
Right.
It just means that they've gotten smarter, and they figured out that when the yahoos are there beating on the trees and hollering in the woods, we be quiet.
Yes, exactly. When you've got somebody there every weekend, we've been camping, and we'll hear people out there several campgrounds away who aren't even Bigfoot researchers, but are just doing Bigfoot calls that they've learned on Finding Bigfoot, and they're doing them or trying to do them. And I'm like, I can't believe those kids are over there doing Bigfoot calls. And it's almost everywhere you go. It's an everyday thing now. And so maybe that's why
you got to keep in mind, if anybody knows that you're there, that's why I don't even have stickers on my vehicles anymore.
Yes.
Because if people drive by and they see a Bigfoot sticker on your truck, guess what?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, hey, let's screw with these Bigfooters, And then the next thing you know, they're over hollering and beating on trees. I mean,
yeah,
it's just crazy. But
I know.
But you gotta the Bigfoot researcher now, because everybody's doing YouTube and everybody's walking around in the woods with a camera. There's no way you can do research walking around in the woods staring at a video camera, talking to it. You're gonna miss everything, the smallest, tiniest little details. And so that's why I don't do it.
What do you think about the people that put the video camera, like a GoPro or something, on their hat, pointing behind them as they're walking down the trail? They don't have to be talking. It's not making a video about themselves. This is just something personal for themselves, because they are known to follow, and usually to the right side of you, shadow you if they're going to be following you. So if you have a video camera pointed to your right, whichever arm you are, I believe that if they're going to shadow you, they usually shadow you on the right, if you're right-handed. And so if you have the GoPro pointing to the back right, and you're just walking very slowly and just pretending that you're not there for Bigfoot, and maybe have some flowers around your GoPro with just a little lens. This is the Daisy May approach to trying to catch one following you, you know. But I think that's a good idea, don't you? Don't you think that there's a possibility you might could catch one doing that during the day?
I think the best way that you're gonna catch one unsuspectedly is if you took a camera and you put it in a beer can, and that way every time you turned it up, you'd take a picture, you know. But when you put the cameras on yourself, you're conscious of the camera.
Oh, okay.
And you're not. It's really not a natural movement.
Okay.
And plus, they're going to have to be, in order for that camera to catch whatever individual's moving or standing, I mean, the odds, it's almost like a lottery. I mean, you might luck up one day and catch 1 second, one frame of one photo. Well, if it's not in focus and the camera's bouncing up and down,
yes,
you're not
true,
going.
Because that's usually the way it is.
You're really just wasting a lot of time. Trail cams is a waste of time. I've had them actually open them up, turn them off. I've had them reposition, grab them with their hand, reposition them.
I've had them set them off with a stick, you know, just throwing sticks in front of it. And, I don't even waste my time.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of time, we are completely out of time. We are actually, yes, I know. But you will come back, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Well, I will get with you, and we will set up a part 2, and because I would love to have you back. You have been, I've been doing this for almost 20 years, and you actually taught me some things I did not know. And I thought, not to say I know everything, which I don't, but it that thing about the wolf, that was just, you don't know how much that's going to help me determine what I'm hearing out here, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, a lot of people play. I've heard it. I mean, I heard not too recently somebody play an audio capture, and they kept saying, just listen to the background, listen to the background. The whole time I'm sitting there going, no, that's not one of them. It's code. You know, it's a challenge call.
Yeah.
But anyway, get me back on, and I'll tell you what, I'll send you some clips, some audio captures.
That would be amazing. Yes.
And you can play them.
Yes.
And share with the audience. That would be
wonderful. Okay. We'll do it. Well, it's been a wonderful night. We really enjoyed you, Paul, and we'll be having you back. I want to thank all of you for listening to Night Caller's Bigfoot Radio. So we got to get out of here. So good night, everyone.
Listening to Night Caller's Bigfoot Radio.